hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa, I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones. I'm losing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by the one and only, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Titles galore! Titles
I
changing
know, right?
hands, titles staying put, title matches being made. My God, we know the path for every title in NXT. You're cooking, buddy, you're cooking.
Yeah, he really is.
This Ring of Honor, this is what you do 2 weeks out from a pay-per-view. It's called anticipation. Booking matches, making storylines that seem to be coming to a conclusion at your pay-per-view.
Champions are on their own show. Wow.
I mean, yes, champions on your own show is definitely something. I think Astrid needs a hug. I think she's going to need more than a hug. She's going to need to get that aviation gin that she's got hiding off screen. The Wolverine aviation gin that she's got over there.
Not me. I got this one.
Oh, did you get the Deadpool one? I thought you got the Wolverine one.
No, that's my brother. I got this one.
Okay. That's
all.
that's from that's the Vampire Diaries. It doesn't count.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
We got our friends Bobby Munson and Papa Smokes both saying hello to us. Hello to the Ring Respect crew. We greatly appreciate it. And we hope you guys are having a good night. If you want to catch Papa Smokes and Bobby Munson in all their trip through the territories this week, go ahead and catch them Thursday night, 9:05 Eastern Time, 7:05 Edmonton Time. Go ahead and, I don't know, 7:25 Saskatchewan time. I don't know what time it is for Bobby Munson. He's got a weird time, so I don't even know what time it is there. So go ahead and check the socials. They'll give you all the good times for that. Man, there was a lot on tonight's show.
Yeah.
I have, considering we talked about it last week, and we're like, I have no notes. I have 7 full pages of notes on my mobile device tonight.
You got more than me. But I was also watching it on my iPad.
I have 1 page of notes that's literally just fucking like the opening segment.
Yeah.
So we start with a recap of the Great American Bash Week 2. Fine. It was what it was. Papa Smokes. In Saskatchewan, there is no time. That's because Brock Lesnar's there and nobody knows what's going on.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead and talk, though, while we're getting here. Wesley's coming into the arena and Sarah Schreiber's there to meet him while I turn on my air conditioner because it's warm in the podcasting room. Tell me what Wesley was talking about here.
No lie. It took me a moment and I thought it was Mackenzie. And I got so happy when I saw the blood. I was like, oh my God, they brought it for one night. Just because it's Wesley. And then I noticed I was like, oh, I like you, but I miss Mackenzie. I'm sorry. So I did feel bad because it took me a moment. I was like, but then I realized it wasn't her. So yes, get back to reality, Astrid. I did like this opening like this. Usually I do like when they open with matches, but I did like this opening of going from, and they kind of done it on Raw sometimes. I haven't seen it much on SmackDown, but going from one person to the other one and like intertwining kind of storylines in that sort of way. We go from Wesley coming in and her asking him about what happened last week to Ethan taking the microphone and going, and was like, I'm gonna open the show, and I was like, sure, champ, let's go at it. I love this. And I love how he's like, I'm gonna go out now, put my theme song on, and then you can hear the crowd obviously because they hear him, but it's like basically on cue as he's doing that at the same time on purpose, and I love the timing of it because the crowd just they just react to it, and I just love that part. I love Ethan opening the show technically because Wes had like 2 seconds, so I didn't even count that aspect of it. Um, this promo though, I think it was fun. I like how even him, he's showing all the targets that he has because he's talking about Trick and he's talking about Wes and he's talking about Pete. I was like, everybody's here. And then we got interrupted by none other than Joe Hendry. I said his name, but he didn't show up, unfortunately. Yeah,
I don't think I have the. I know it's in one of the things. I don't think it's in ours. Yeah. Ironically, it's in all the other rooms. It's not in ours. We got this.
You're watching OLE, and this is a Dijak Hijack.
Yeah, I blame Mark. He's the one that put it on the other one because he was doing the interview. That's why. But I like this coming out of nowhere also because not only it's another thing. It went from the crowd reacting to Ethan saying that to the crowd reacting to Joe Hendry. And I like the back and forth between both of them. And especially towards the end when Hendry goes, oh yeah, when I get the championship, I'm going to take it to Tokyo and Canada. And they start singing all the theme song with him. And at the end, he's like standing like this. He's like, no, don't sing, don't sing. And he's like waving his hands so ready for the crowd to do it with him. And then all of a sudden he gets away by Wes. And I'm like, and I can went from Wes to Ethan to Joe Hendry back to Wes. And I was like, I love this full circle. That was amazing.
For a more in-depth review, because I have a ton of notes on this.
Yeah.
Wesley enters the arena. Sarah Schreiber tries to get answers from him. And it's key what he says, because we continue to hear it later on during his segment. I'm taking what's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Page then takes the mic from Sarah Schreiber, takes the NXT logo off, puts on his own all-ego thing like Miz used to do when he used to flip the WWE logo to have the M for Miz. I love this. I think this is great. He then says, nobody's going to take this. He says, I'm going to go address, like you said, I'm going to go address the NXT universe, hit my music, like Shawn Michaels used to say. Shawn Michaels was famous in the early days of, especially in his really early heel run. He'd be like, hit my music. So I thought it was great to have Ethan Page saying that. Ethan Page comes out, the ego thing starts. Ethan says nobody's going to take this title away. He calls out, like you said, Pete Dunne, Trick Williams, Wesley specifically by name. And he says, it's no longer NXT. It's NX me. No bigger way to be a heel than to take away the NXT champ.
Mm-hmm.
No bigger way to be a heel with this crowd than taking that away. Mm-hmm. Then Joe Hendry comes out, and Ethan goes, Joe says to him, I can see looking at you why you think you're the talk of NXT. But you're not. Because at Heatwave, everybody was talking about you and how surprised they were that you won that championship for 90 seconds until my face appeared. And then I was all anything anybody was talking about, which is true. He then says, I can see looking at you why you think you're the talk of NXT now. Last week you defeated Oro Mensa, defended your title. Until Wes Lee turned heel, and everybody left out at the end of the show was talking about Wes Lee and not talking about you. Mm-hmm. Ethan tells them that he needs to go back to TNA. That everybody believes in Joe Hendry, but Ethan Page doesn't. Ethan Page says, your song makes me sick, and you're on your 14th minute of your 15 minutes of fame, and they're about to run out. Joe Hendry goes, no, everybody loves Joe Hendry. Hell, Booker T's the president of my fan club. And Booker T nodded. Booker T said nothing but nodded. And the best part was, Ethan turned to look at Booker. And Booker's like, Ethan Page was so good. Like, Joe Hendry was great. Don't get me wrong. But Joe Hendry's always great. hand Joe Hendry a microphone, and he's always going to be great. But Ethan Page is doing lots of little things that are showing somebody who didn't watch a ton of Ethan Page how good he really can be. Why people are all egomaniacs. Hendry says, I've been working my... He also calls Joe Hendry a flash in the pan. Hendry goes, look, I may have taken off meteorically, but I am no fucking flash in the pan. I've been working my ass off for 10 years to get to the spot that I'm right now, while you had everything handed to you since you walked through this door. And he says, and then that's when he does what you said, and when I beat you for that title, I'm going to take it to London, to Paris, to Tokyo. And the crowd starts chanting, and Ethan gets mad, and he leaves the ring. And again, fantastic work by the NXT camera crew. Focused on Ethan and Joe. Ethan on the outside, Joe on the inside. Out of nowhere, Wesley kicks Joe right in the face with a great Shawn Michaels style super kick.
Yes.
Such a good job. Setting up what we're going to see later. Setting up challenges for Ethan Page. Setting up a feud between Wesley and Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry and Ethan Page, and Ethan Page and like so many dominoes got put in place that Shawn can literally pick and choose which ones he wants to do when. And he's got free reign over all of it. This is an absolute home run. Not to mention that Joe Hendry's the first non-WWE superstar to have his own little mini section on the WWE network on Peacock.
Yes. We love to see it.
And I thought it was fake because I thought it was like, oh, this is just a Joe Hendry thing. He replaced stuff. Because Joe Hendry's done this before where he's replaced stuff with his own pictures. I went on there and I found it. It actually exists.
No need to do that this time.
How about Joe Hendry with his own microphone cover? We love some Joe. Just a picture of him and his face on the little microphone cover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but there's a guy who now has this fully interactive Joe Hendry sign that has a spinning Joe Hendry face, clapping hands, and now it waves.
Yes,
like
brilliant.
It's sensational. It is absolutely sensational. Love this opening. It took up a page and a half of my notes, but it's great.
Yes.
And things kept rolling from here. We got to get the tables jumping in first. It's pretty wild to see someone from another company getting such a push. Yeah, it really is kind of wild. The money that TNA is getting from WWE must be something substantial. Because, like, I get it. They're getting the TNA name week on week involved in the NXT storylines to a much bigger audience than TNA is, which is obviously driving some traffic to TNA. But when TNA is getting back Wesley as the biggest star out of the 7 that they've had, no offense to Charlie Dempsey, we'll talk about him in a moment. But, like, Wesley is the biggest star they got back so far out of, like, 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're getting Dante Chen and Izzy Dane. And as much as we love her, Tatum Paxley.
Mm-hmm.
Where WWE's getting Jordan Grace, the Rascals, and Joe Hendry. Like, it's not a fair trade. So the money going back has to be something substantial. But remember, this is also included in Jordan Grace's Royal Rumble appearance and the massive amount of eyes that puts on the TNA product and how great they're doing with making sure that TNA stars don't look silly going up against NXT talent, which is what AEW didn't do. AEW didn't care what the TNA talent looked like when they went up against WWE, when they went up against AEW talent. It was, ha, that's funny, you lose. Every time. And I think it's very interesting to see how different that is with Shawn Michaels. Where, yeah, Jordynne Grace didn't win the Rumble. Of course she's not going to win the Rumble. But, like, she had a good showing. She was in there for a while. She's coming out with the championship. They're putting over the fact that she's TNA. They had the Naomi moment. Like, there's a lot of bringing in TNA history into these appearances on NXT, which I think is very important.
I mean, think about it this way: they have gained subscribers. Slammiversary was sold out, so it's working out for them as well.
Yep. Like the rest, I heard Mark Talks was making one of those signs for you. I'm sure there's a fantastic sign coming for me. I have my Mark Talks interview books. I'm already sick. I'm already sick for that day. We move on to, as I said, Charlie Dempsey, Wren Sinclair, and Baby Randy in the back as Charlie's getting ready for his match. Nothing really important happens here. Wren talks about how Tavion is actually in Japan. And by the way, if you haven't seen the clips, he's doing fantastic.
Doing great.
He may not be winning a whole bunch, but he's having a bunch of fun out there. Him and Josh Briggs, who also got mentioned that he's in Japan this week. Very much that I like that the fact that they're mentioning it. I wish they would have said where he's working, what he's doing, but at least they're mentioning he's in Japan. We then move on to another backstage segment where we have the No Mercy Gauntlet Eliminator match. Ava tells us that was apparently Stevie Turner's idea. I mean, it was really Robert Stone's idea, but Stevie Turner took it to Ava, so Ava thinks that it's her idea. So Stone gets mad, and that all gets fixed up. But they basically did the Royal Rumble bingo ball thing with all the names of anybody who's never faced Roxanne Perez for the championship. And they picked 3 names here, which was Wren Sinclair, and she ran off to the ring, and Adrianna Rizzo, who was already at ringside with the D'Angelo family. Not
this D'Angelo family.
Not this D'Angelo family, but the other D'Angelo family. And Sol Ruca. Which one, that makes sense. Those are names that I would expect to have in this match. Those are names I expect to lose in this match, with the exception of Sol Ruca.
I know, but still, I was like, I would have preferred having all these people that are like popular, to the sense of like you're thinking, I wouldn't know who to pick. Put me, have me in that position of like, there's Jada, there's Sol, there's this one. It's like, okay, it's like between Jada and Sol, I'm already thinking, oh, that's a strong contendership. And that Carmen, okay, great. And then I see Wren, and I'm like, okay, Wren's okay. But then Adrianna, I'm like, I was like, I would have wished it was those 2 picks would have been more like stronger competitors, to put it like that, because it would have made me go on a pick of like, I don't know who to pick, because it could go so many ways and they could go any direction. I would have loved that. But again, I understand it's also the fact.
You forgot the most obvious name out of the second group. The one who's going to obviously win this based on that hit factor. Kendall Gray is in this match.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is Kendall Gray doing in this match? By the way, one of these women are not making it to this match. I don't know which one. I'm going to assume it's Carmen Petrovic.
But I did like that aspect of then having the names being random and like being anybody could get it kind of thing, because it almost feels like a fair shot. It's up to chance. Anybody could get this. I like that aspect of it too, and I like the back and forth between Stone and Stevie there.
Booker didn't like that factor.
No, but I like it. Just thinking about the aspect of like, let's think of anybody who hasn't had their chance yet, and let's give them a spotlight. That gives me that vibe. It's like, let's pull the names out of there. But when they started with like Wren, I was like, Wren's okay. And I hear Adrianna, I'm like, oh no, why is she there? I know she's gonna lose in the first like 5 seconds, but again, I'm just like, I would have done without her being there. So it makes sense, for example, and then Jada made sense too. And they say Carmen's like, that would make sense. Kendall, she's obviously starting, so it's all right for her.
Get the tables. None. The answer of these 6, the answer is none. Because I'm going to assume that whoever actually faces the Prodigy at No Mercy is either Julia or Stephanie Vacour. The Vakia. Fakir, that's the one. Last week after the show, I was very properly told that I'm pronouncing the name wrong, and I had to go through an entire
Voyo Ars. Ars. You gotta Voyo Ars.
Booker doesn't like anything. No. His problem wasn't necessarily that it's an eliminator match. He likes the idea that these women have to earn their way to face the Prodigy. He loves that idea. The problem he had is that he didn't like that Izzy Dame wasn't immediately in the match. Which is kind of funny, because when I heard him say that, I went ahead and fired off a little tweet. And a very interesting came across. So my tweet says, Booker T, if Izzy's so good and should have had a women's title match without earning it, why not have her take on the official Reality of Wrestling Women's Champion? Put your money where your mouth is. Hashtag WWE NXT. Reality of Wrestling likes the idea of this. For those that don't know, Reality of Wrestling is the promotion that Booker T runs in Texas. I might have got Izzy Dame some work. So Izzy, you're welcome. I take my thank yous in cold hard cash, please. Signed 8x10s are fine too, I guess, but I much prefer cash.
If she does get it, I want you to retweet it with your tweet on top of it, and that screenshot right there is like, I started this.
Shout out to the yes, absolutely. Shout out to the Reality Wrestling social media guy. I guarantee
social media person.
Yes,
person.
Absolutely. It might not be a man. It might be a woman.
Exactly.
We all know it's at least not Charmel, and it's probably not Booker T. Because Booker T's official does not like me. I deserve no. I don't deserve that much. God no. 10% of the purse. I know how these Mike. We all know how these indie promotions pay out. 10%. I can't take that from a starving talent. No.
Let's just say bookmark the tweet just in case. Bookmark it just in case.
Aegis fee is 10%. Yes, but I mean, that's a lot for this. I mean, Ava is basically trying to screw over Roxy. What kind of GM? No. How does this screw over Roxy? Roxy gets to watch 6 women compete in a gauntlet match to take her on. How is this screwing Roxy? I don't understand how any of this. Ava has done nothing to try to screw over Roxanne Perez. This is all something perpetuated by the psychopathic, idiotic Roxanne Perez herself, who thinks that Ava's out to get her, when all Ava's doing is making sure that her champion defends the title. Tony Khan, that's what you do with champions. You have them defend their titles, like at Ring of Honor. You know, did you know Mark Briscoe is going to be defending his title this week on Ring of Honor Wrestling?
Oh, I thought it was AWTV, not at Ring of Honor, but sure.
Oh, it was booked at the Ring of Honor show. I believe it's going to be on ROH TV. It'll probably end up on AEW, but I believe it was taped for ROH. He's facing the Beast Portos.
Yeah, I know. But I thought it was in AEW, not Ring of Honor, but we'll see.
No,
I mean,
she's
the one thing I would disagree with you is she's champion. She's not an idiot. She knows what she's doing, especially because she's kept that title. Just so you know.
I mean, she can be talented and still be an idiot. It's fine.
No, but she ain't an idiot. She knows what she's doing.
Does she? Does she really?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mike the Ref says yes, it is on ROH TV the last night that they are in Arlington. So yeah, we got Mark Briscoe on Ring of Honor television.
He found the venue. Somebody drove him there.
It is Mark Briscoe. I'm sure somebody has to drive him everywhere. I don't know how much people have seen of the Briscoes, but yeah, Mark doesn't have the best luck trying to make sure he gets to arenas. Anyways, moving on. I love Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe's great. I just like shitting on Ring of Honor booking because that's what entire Honor Ramble crew does too. So I know it's not just me. Because the Honor Ramble crew loves Ring of Honor, and most of them love the AEW. Hell, most of them work AEW shows. Hell, Kimmy Sokol was holding the AEW championship this past weekend.
Yes.
By the way, happy birthday to Kimmy Sokol this week.
Kimmy Scoops.
She's going to be the great old age of 23. God,
I'm
I feel
jealous.
fucking old.
I'm jealous.
I feel old as dirt. After all of this, talking about Roxanne and needlessly talking about Roxanne, we get to talk about something great. Tony D'Angelo versus Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup.
Oh my God.
This was good. I like this. This was fantastic. The only thing I'm going to say before I let Astrid talk, because I've talked for a while here, the only thing I'll say is that Charlie Dempsey and Tony D'Angelo don't have what I would consider smooth chemistry, but they have this really great, gritty, like, it feels like a fight kind of chemistry. It works together, but it's a little clunky. It's not smooth as silk like a Danielson or an Ospreay or a Zack Sabre Jr. It's not a smooth chemistry that they have where they're technically getting out of it, but it feels more like a fight, like a real wrestling match between two guys who know how to scrap, if that makes any sense. I thought this was fantastic. Yeah, Mike has it. Bowling shoe chemistry. It wasn't pretty, but the match worked. They both were getting in and out of moves in interesting ways that were fun to see, but it wasn't like, oh my God, did you see how beautiful this transition to that? No, there was a little bit of stumbling around and falling and grabbing guys and kind of like dropping them, but not in a green, like, oh, he just dropped the guy. It's like Tony D's fighting out of, his grip and he slips out and they have to kind of go through it. That's what I saw in this. And I really enjoyed that in this match. What did you think, Astrid?
What I loved about this match, though, is that it went by in a way that feels so weird because it's not fast paced. But at one point when you told me, it's like, and I was listening to it, it's like, oh, this is round 5, and I was like, how is it round 5 already? It doesn't feel like it. It really didn't. But you said about smooth, but there was at one point though that Tony was gonna go for, I think it's a spine buster, and Charlie changed it to a sleeper hold, and that was so smoothly done. I like the way they mesh with each other. It's so, they do it so oddly, but at the same time, they do it so well. I can't even describe it. But again, I like the chemistry they have with each other and the way that Tony has been like shaping like this as the Heritage Cup champion. So he's been doing great in these type of matches. I didn't think he would, and that he's doing better than I thought he was going to be. But again, I enjoy this a lot too. It was unexpectedly, but at the same time, I thought it was really fun. Because at one point, I forgot how it started on the outset, but I know that Stacks comes in and he kind of runs towards Tony, and Tony uses him to like hit over Myles outside and get him in that sort of way. But I love how we had the continuation of Wren being that cheerleader that she was to Tavion before, because she did that to Charlie, and when she did, Charlie really stepped up right after that happened. And I love how this is exactly.
Hold on. She didn't do exactly what she did with Tavion Heights last.
Well, I mean, similarly, yeah.
No, she slapped Tavion once and like got him riled up. She beat the fuck out of Charlie Dempsey in the corner this week. Like, she slapped him like
but again, still is similar. It's similar still. She basically continued on what she started with Tavion, and then Charlie got the most of it now.
She almost cost him the match there because he's like, what the hell are you doing? And he almost got rolled up in that round. Yes, he does get fired up because of it, but she almost cost him there.
But I did love the fact that there was a point that Derrito is in the corner and Tony is in front of Charlie, and she makes him slip because of everything that's happening outside of the referee's paying attention to, and Charlie takes advantage of it. And I'm like, this is what I wanted to happen when Tavia was in this match. Exactly what I wanted to happen. But at the same time, I'm glad it happened with Charlie too. This is exactly it. That's it. Once I saw it, I was like, yes, bam, good. And I love how she takes the Heritage Cup and she's the one holding it, like kind of like it's mine because she helped win the match. And he's the one taking it away from her. And that's when she goes to do the pose with him at the front. But oh my God, when she grabbed it, I was like, yes, please run away with it. I just want you to take it from him. But again, it was a fun match.
We have Mike the Ref saying here, I'd run off a cliff with Maddie's motivational speeches. I agree. Miss Maddie Renkowski, or Wren Sinclair, as we know her here in NXT, is fantastic. I agree. I love Wren Sinclair. And the best part is you've got Charlie holding the cup. You've got little baby Randy next to him. And you've got her on her belly with the stupid pose thingy. And she's just bouncing her head back and forth. This little bubble gum. Oh my God, it's so perfect. Isla Dawn is the best response. Just kiss already. I don't know why, but I just need to see Charlie Dempsey kiss Wren Sinclair. I don't know why. They don't give me a relationship feel, but for some reason it just feels right. I don't understand it. I wanted to take this moment while we're in between matches to go ahead and talk about two people with dealing with some health issues that we want to go ahead and in the wrestling community and go ahead and give them a little, get well soon. First, Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, we heard, is going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks, I believe it is, with the surgery to fix another issue that she's got. So, man, this girl can't catch a break. People were wondering why WWE didn't give her that big singles match. Unfortunately, this is the reason. Because she's forever injured. Look at her NXT run. Every time she started getting a big push, she got injured. And now on the main roster, this isn't the first. This is the third injury that she's caught since being on the main roster with Damage Control? It's at least the second, if not the third.
I think the second, yeah.
I love Dakota Kai. I think she's one of the most talented women's wrestlers that WWE has. But no matter what booker you are, if somebody is injury prone, it's hard to hand them the ball and let them run with it. Because you never know when plans are going to have to change. But get well soon, Dakota. You're one of the best. Continue your streaming. If you haven't, go follow. I believe it's I'm Charlie Girl on Twitter, on Twitch. She does a great podcast with Zelina Vega on YouTube. So go ahead and follow the two of them there at whatever that is. I'm sure if you followed either of their social medias, you'll be able to find out what that is if you don't already. She's caught all the breaks. She has caught all the breaks. It's about time that she catches a real break. But I like what you got there, Mike. Another person a little bit closer to home, the 4-year wear business owner, Blue Magic and known on Twitter, dealing with some health-related issues. Get well soon, man. We do great work putting out great shirts for a lot of people, including the Natural Astrid Pizarro, which you can go ahead and get her shirt at this link right here, modeled by the wonderful Mike the Ref and the talented Mel Ball Collins. And if you want to see more of Mel Ball Collins, you can catch her this Friday right here on the Our Local Establishment channels for Japanese Wrestling Update. And this Saturday on Our Local Establishment, when she gets her turn to be interviewed by Mark. I heard there were a couple of long essays already being written.
I'm drafting mine.
I know Andre's working on his, so we got a couple of those. So make sure that you're in the chat this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to go ahead and catch that interview. It is going to be a bunch of fun. Moving on, we have got Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan are backstage talking, and they walk by Tatum Paxley, who's, for a better word, freaking the fuck out. I don't know how better to put this. She's having a moment. She's talking to herself. She's talking to the doll. I don't know what she's doing, but she's not having a good day. And so Kalani says, I wish I could help her, yada, yada. She says, no, you go to the ring and do your thing. I'll go ahead and talk to her. And Lola goes and tries to talk to Tatum. And Tatum freaks out and she says, well, not all of us can be this cool MMA fighter who has everything handed to them since they got here.
Well,
she's not wrong.
Where's the lie? Come on, you missed it.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
This made me laugh at first, though, because when Kalani and Lola are talking about Tatum, they're like not even a foot away from her.
Yeah.
I know she's having her moment there, but that's so weird. It's like, can you talk to her? Because I don't want to talk to her because she could probably hear you. She's not paying attention, but she could probably hear you. So that's odd enough. And then
This is
I'm
what
like,
the cool people. This is what the cool people don't understand about the weird kids. Like I was one of the weird kids. You were obviously one of the cool kids. Like we hear everything the cool kids say because they think we're fucking invisible and that we can't hear them when they talk about us 5 feet away.
sure.
Who was the one who was handed a TNA title shot at No Surrender? I don't know. Who was handed a title shot at No Surrender? I don't fucking watch No Surrender. I believe that was an open. Wasn't Tatum in an open challenge? So that was something that was handed out to anybody who could get to Gorilla first. Like, I mean, I don't even know if that's No Surrender. I don't even know what pay-per-view we're talking about. Like, I honestly don't fucking know. I don't watch enough TNA to know what's going on.
No, but this made me love with that aspect of like I get where she's coming from of like being Lola being like the cool kid kind of versus like her not being the cool kid. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely relatable and it sounds very accurate. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. It's like I just kept like laughing, thinking about the fact that they were so close to her and that was like no, that's the only part I didn't like about this part of about like this whole segment here. But again, I kept thinking we're gonna get Lola versus Tatum next week, okay? And then I see that it's happening not too long after. And it's like, oh, okay, we're going there tonight.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get Lola next week too. So Andre's gonna be so happy when he eventually watches this. But speaking of making our Japanese wrestling update people happy, I'm going to go ahead and just throw this up here while we talk about the next couple segments. So, Ashton, if you could slide just a little bit to your side so we can see. No, the other side. There we go.
No.
Eddy Thorpe talks about how music and dancing are a part of his culture in the Native American community, which is interesting and great. And he goes, but Lexus doesn't understand that, and he doesn't want to understand that. And then Lexus cuts in. It's a really cool, like, spliced interview. But then have Lexus talking about how EDM is evil and demonic, and how he had to try to help Eddy Thorpe by breaking his hand so he wouldn't put on that demon music. And I'm like, did we transport into the 1960s and rock music is now EDM is rock music? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. There is only one thing that he said. He says Eddy is useless, which I disagree with. And then he says he's as useless as EDM music is. EDM music is useless. There is 0 point and 0 need for EDM music. That includes like lo-fi music. That includes what's the one that Deadpool was talking about in Deadpool 2 that he asked if it was still popular in the future? I forget. He asked Cable if a specific type of music is popular. EDM music sucks. Like, I don't like to agree with Lexus King, but this music is awful. Like, definitively awful. No, Mike. No Lola for champ. Lola lost that. Yeah. No championship for Lola. Lola for unemployed. We got HBC bad guys jumping in here. And then this moves into the match with Eddy and Lexus King, in which Lexus attacks Eddy before his entrance really gets going. And then in a matter of like 3 minutes, Lexus King beats Eddy Thorpe.
This pissed me off. What are we doing with Eddy? Because I don't understand. I really don't.
Look at this. Look at how good this man looks. I can't get my fingers to point that way, but look at this man. Look how beautiful he is. Mel is crying right now, looking at the screen, looking at him, knowing he's with Dakota Kai.
When the match ended, I was so pissed. Why?
Be patient. We're going to get the 2025 version of the West Texas. No, I don't want to be patient. I don't want to see Lexus King on my TV screen. I want to see more of Eddy Thorpe on my TV screen.
I was mostly pissed at this because this has been going on for a few weeks now, and then the match is not even 5 minutes long, including entrances. And it's like, what happened to the Eddy Thorpe we got with NXT Underground? Like, I liked seeing that Eddy Thorpe, and I feel like it's just disappointing since they signed him, because I keep thinking, when are we gonna see something like really for him like this? It's like whenever we get a little something, and then all of a sudden he's off TV, and then now it's another vignette, and I'm like, what happened? And it's like seeing this was like, Lexus is okay, but I prefer Eddy Thorpe so much more. And we still don't get to see 100% Eddy Thorpe. Like, I just, when you think you're getting the 100% of him, something happens and then they just not do it. And it's like, what is happening? I just don't understand. I don't get it. The dude is so, like, you can market stuff around him. I really don't get it. I was mostly like confused and angry at the same time.
Speaking of marketing, they are marketing Lexus King. He is on the what do you call it? The ad for the clothing, and they market the NXT shop on the broadcasts. Lexus King is part of the group with Lola Vice, Roxanne Perez, Oba Femi, and Trick Williams. Mike the Ref is correct, however, that it is like the 2K24 My GM equivalent of a rivalry and cooldown. Also, Mike the Ref, interesting to note, after I got on one of your previous streams, I got nailed by the auto moderator for the word coward because you were, I forget what you were doing, but I told you not to be a coward in one of your games. Our auto mod did not like the word rednecks. I had to approve the word rednecks out on Twitch. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Problem I didn't know I needed to have tonight. We then get Trick Williams having a video package where he talks about trying to deal with Pete Dunne. And he goes, I always figure out how to solve problems. He's like, I had a problem with the beating the Mad Dragon. I solved it by winning the NXT championship. And I was waiting for more. And then he was like, but you and me, Pete Dunne, were alike. And I'm like, that's a problem. You solved a problem. Where are the other problems? Come on, Trick.
Well, wasn't that I thought Carmelo was the other one.
Did he mention Carmelo? I don't know.
I thought I saw a part with Carmelo of something. I forgot what he said, like something best friend. And then he said that one. And I was thinking, so you only have 2 examples? That's not much. I'm sorry.
Then he talks about how him and Pete Dunne are alike because Pete Dunne got jumped at 18. And when Trick Williams was 18, some kids threw rocks at his car, but he happened to be in his car. So then he went up to their dorm room to beat them up 3-on-1 because he was by himself. And he considered that getting jumped, even though he attacked them, which is the opposite of getting jumped. They were just defending themselves at that point. But he figured it out, and they got theirs in the end. And I'm like,
okay.
Sure, Trick. We then have Pete Dunne asked if he's going to go ahead and give Trick Williams another match. And he's like, no. I'm going to focus on the NXT championship. Trick Williams and I are done. Why does Trick deserve another rematch? And I'm like, you're kind of right, Pete. You're kind of right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hate it when the heel's right, but he's kind of right. Like, he set off alarms and security, so he lost the NXT title. That's another problem solved. Maybe. I don't know. We then get an even worse segment when we get Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson in one makeup chair and the terrible trio in the other makeup chairs, and Fallon's being made to look like a rock star or a movie star, and I'm like, why? Like, if she's the down-home country girl, why is she being glammed up? Like, that makes no sense to me. And by the way, none of them are on TV this week, so why are any of them in makeup?
To do TikToks like they do backstage.
Yeah? So do the makeup at home, where you have your own makeup and don't waste WWE's makeup money.
Yeah.
Anyways, they go back and forth about people who, you know, as part of the NIL program getting opportunities, and Lash again continues to point out the most obvious example of, you guys understand that Jasmine is part of the NIL program too, that she was a Division I soccer player. And they're like, that doesn't matter. And I'm like, why the fuck does that not matter?
This is the first
Oh
time
my
that made me
god, I hate the
laugh.
fucking terrible trio.
That made me laugh so much. She's just like, you're talking about me, but she's the same as me. And then they're like, no, she's not. And I'm like, what? It's the same thing.
Why does it feel like I was lucky? No, you're not lucky that NXT got bumped off television in Canada. You're not lucky. I mean, you get to miss this terrible segment, but all the rest of the stuff on the show is actually mostly good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I put in my notes. I put dealing with the terrible trio. Well, terrible duo and their silent puppy dog. Because all Jasmine does is just stand there and just look at the other two of them in every.
Like, good news, JC doesn't have the protective mask anymore.
Oh, that's fantastic news. I'm so happy. Let me do a happy dance. I don't care. I don't. Oh, by the way, I'm assuming that both Fallon Henley and JC Jane are part of the 1/3 of the NXT locker room that Paul Heyman says could be called up today if the plans are in place to push them properly. Ashley, what do you think about Paul Heyman's statement today about that? That 1/3 of the NXT locker room could go on the main roster today and be successful if the creative was there.
I mean, I don't disagree with him. There's a lot of people that could be there by now. But again, like, you have, to me, one example I'll point out, it's like, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name? Kiana. Like, you obviously, Kiana. You know who it is.
Oh, Kiana Jane. I thought you said somebody named Akiana. I'm like, who the fuck is Akiana?
Because I say that because she is ready and she was ready. Yeah. They called her up and then there's nothing for her after like the first 2 weeks of the draft because they had her just like doing stuff backstage and then poof, disappeared. It's like, might as well should have just kept her in NXT with Izzy there because they were doing fine together. Everything was going well there.
Yeah, Izzy so Dave's like, the one that's fallen off. Hell. Mike the ref, 1/3 of that would be the women. No, not necessarily. The women's roster's deep, but I wouldn't necessarily say that most of them are ready to be on the main roster. Like, Roxanne's ready to be on the main roster. I think Fallon and JC could have matches on the main roster and probably could be called up, but they have no character. They have very little charisma. Like, all of JC's charisma was Toxic Attraction, which essentially was Mandy Rose. Like, that was the equivalent of JC James' charisma. And as soon as that got taken away from her, shit went downhill real fast.
Pop quiz, what's the new version of charisma that I taught you about?
Riz.
Great! I can't really remember.
It still doesn't make any fucking sense, but Riz. I heard a new word, skippity, and I don't know what the fuck that shit means. But again, we're not here to talk about one. STG's not here, so it feels wrong to have this fun conversation without STG, who loves it when we have these conversations. So we're gonna leave that for now. Tatum and Lola Vice happened with Kalani Jordan on commentary. This is a match that started and ended, and thank God it ended quickly.
But one thing I'll say though, I don't know who Tatum is. Like the tapes that she's watching, whoever she's studying or whatever it is. But her matches lately have been so different and so creative the way her offense is. I love it so much. I wish I could see more of it. And to me, it's disappointing that I feel like a lot of people are behind her. And I feel like this is one of the times I will put a title on her if I could. Because she, like, people are loving the way she is. And she's showing off why she could be champion. Like, she's bringing something different to the table that most of the girls are not bringing really in the NXT roster. And seeing the way she like worked with Lola tonight, I feel like she did so well. She was like that MVP tonight for me. She did so great, and I wanted to see more from her specifically, not Lola involved. So if I could just see her with whoever to have a longer match, I would have been happier because that was so good. I like her aspect of it. I enjoyed it so much.
You mean it's only as if I wish they had a secondary women's championship that Tatum Paxley could have an opportunity to go after and potentially be a champion of, say, like, I don't know, last fucking week, when they could have just put the title on Tatum Paxley and done Tatum Paxley versus Wendy Choo, which would have been way better than Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Choo. Because Wendy Choo attacks Kalani on commentary, and as Wendy Choo said last week, she choked the bitch. And then Tatum got distracted for God knows what reason. She then hit Lola with one of the coolest moves I've ever seen, got a 2 count, and then ran into Lola's finisher out of absolutely nowhere and lost the match. And I'm like, what just happened?
I would have done the 4-way and have Tatum win it.
I mean, I'm in favor of doing the 4-way at No Mercy between these 4 and having Wendy win it. I think that's the route you should go.
Either way, do a 4-way, either Wendy or Tatum. That's the the 2 of out of those 4 that I would pick.
Yeah, there's definitely something's got to happen. Something's got to move. She Wayne Brady a little bit. Like I said, that's not me saying it. That was literally word for word what was in Wendy Choo's tweet last week. Sometimes you gotta choke a bitch. That is word for word what was in her tweet last week. So don't come after me for being mean to the female ladies. I love both Wendy Choo and Tatum Paxley. I like Kalani Jordan as long as she doesn't call herself Lonnie. I don't care about Lola Vice.
I want to find a clip of when Ed was loving Lola versus him now, and just to see the 2 extremes.
I loved Lola when all she was doing was shaking her ass, and I'm like, great, just a nice-looking lady to shake her ass on Twitter. I didn't want her shaking her ass on television. I wanted her doing it on Instagram and Twitter, away from the wrestling stuff. I'll be honest, I never thought she'd actually have a wrestling match. To be brutally honest, I never thought she'd actually have a wrestling match. She sucked as an MMA fighter. I didn't expect she'd actually do anything here either. We get spots 4, 5, and 6 we've already talked about. Kendall Gray, Jada, Parker, and Carmen Petrovich. To which then Brinley and Carmen are talking about the SummerSlam tryouts and how 2 years ago all those 2 got signed at that SummerSlam tryout. Now it's been 2 years since they stepped foot into a wrestling ring. And then Izzy Dame saunters over for no reason and starts talking about how she should be in this match and all the great things she does. And my notes just say, Izzy Dame comes up, walking up and talking like a liar. Because she's done nothing to deserve anything. When Izzy Dame and Brinley Reece aren't on the show, I don't notice. More importantly, we've recently found out when Brinley Reece is on the show and they don't put a name underneath her, I also don't notice that it's Brinley Reece. Anyways, moving on. We get to Wesley, something really, really good to talk about. Wesley says, last week I thought I was winning the tag team championship with my best friend. But Zach, you let me down again. Just like you did 2 years ago when MSK was dead because you let me down and got fired. He says, everybody was talking about how bad they felt for Zach, and everybody was talking about how sorry they felt for me and who was going to be my next tag team partner because all I was to anybody was a tag team wrestler. I'm included in that. The initial question I asked when Zach Wentz got fired was, who are they going to pair Wesley with? Because I don't see him as a singles competitor. However, I will say that there is video proof of me and you both saying that first night he cut that promo, there's something here, and if he can learn how to wrestle as a singles wrestler, there might be something to this. We both were on the side of there's something potentially there when he cut that promo after Wesley got let go and he had to relinquish the tag team titles. while we did immediately say he needs a new tag partner, we were on board that there might be a singles run in him at some point. Mm-hmm. And he says, after that, I went ahead and I became the greatest North American champion ever. I mean, maybe. I mean, you're not the A champion, but, you're pretty damn good. You're pretty good at it, so maybe. And all this time, the other two guys got reunited in TNA. And they killed it over there while I was breaking my back, putting myself at the top of the card here in NXT. So then they came here to get the WWE rub. And I'm like, ooh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Because all of this is standard, you're no longer my friend, boo you promo work. Good promo work, but still base standard stuff. He says, you left me alone, and I achieved the greatness that we all talked about achieving by myself. I'm tired of always taking care of you, Zach, of being your caretaker, of making sure you got to shows on time, about making sure I put out the fires backstage when you talked your shit too much to somebody and got us in trouble, making sure you got up on time to make sure that you made the shots for TNA, getting you from place to place, doing everything it was to make sure that you could keep a job. Zach, you and I are best friends, and you and I are going to have a match. And No Mercy is a pretty apt title for that, because I'm going to show you no mercy when I beat the hell out of you, dog. And once that's done, you two can go back to being TNA wrestlers over there, and I'm going to go on to bigger and better things like the NXT Championship. And NXT superstar Wes Lee wishes the TNA wrestlers
the best in their future endeavors.
Yeah, I got lost in my notes.
I was like,
holy fuck, Wes.
Woo!
Jesus Christ, that's a promo.
Wow.
By the way, Wesley's taking on Pete Dunne and Joe Hendry in a match to potentially become the number one contender at No Mercy. Guess who's not winning that match next week?
Yeah, this promo. Holy crap. I really had no words, but, just thinking of that. He brought it. He did it. And I kept thinking, how many times did we doubt this man? And he went from tag team to singles competitor, from one of the biggest faces at NXT to now probably being one of the top heels with this promo alone. He continues to prove us wrong somehow. And it's like, man, holy crap, Wesley. Props to you, because that was amazing.
Talking about being his best friend's caretaker. Mentioning the fact that they go back to TNA, where he goes back to bigger and better things, making the difference in his mind, not in WWE's mind, but in his mind about the difference between being in TNA and being a WWE superstar. And then being able to use the future endeavors line. I mean, my God. This is a promo of the year so far. Like, this is up there as one of the promos of the year. This thing was sensational. But the segment's not over yet, because Pete Dunne comes out. And there's something very key in this, and I don't know if you caught it, but I did. Pete Dunne comes out and he goes, good job, Wes. Good job. You figured it out. He used the exact words, you figured it out. Which is going back to Trick Williams. And what did he tell Trick? Figure it out.
Figure it out.
I like that he used those words about praising Wesley. He says, don't worry, don't get too excited, because you're not going to get the NXT Championship. That's where I'm headed. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then Joe Hendry comes out of nowhere and attacks Wesley, who bumps him into Pete Dunne. It starts a three-way brawl between these three guys. It's fantastic. This is another home run segment.
I think the only thing that I didn't like about it was that at the beginning, for example, to compare both segments, in the opening when we had Ethan West and Joe Hendry, the camera angle was so well done, you didn't see Wesley until the end. Like, you didn't see him coming. But then this one, the camera work was not exactly the same thing, and you could see Joe Hendry coming in the ring behind Wesley based on the camera angle itself there. So seeing that, I was like, that's the only thing I would have made sure that, like, we didn't see him the way we didn't see Wes at the beginning. But that's the only thing I would have done differently. But again, it's like this promo work, the continuation again from what we got at the beginning to now, it was just so well done. I love the timing of this.
Yeah, and we've got Wheezy 631. Thank you for joining us. It's a name I haven't seen before. So thank you for joining us, saying Pete's 100% going to get that over. I hope so. Figure it out is a great catchphrase. Like, I like that idea because it can be used in so many different ways in different feuds to make it work. And so I really like that idea, especially as the veteran talking to these younger guys, trying to make them understand how the business works. I think figure it out is so good. So I like that it's coming from a guy like Pete Dunne, who's on Raw, but down here at NXT to help out these younger talents and get them over. I think it's such a great job. Axiom talks about how they're locked in tonight, how there's no more Speed Championship, there's no more Heritage Cup, there's no more anything else. They're locked in. They dressed in the same locker room together. They arrived at the same time. They talked about the match. They talk about how they're going to go against Andre Chase and Ridge Holland being different than taking on Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. And they're like, we got this. And they walk away, and I'm like, yeah, they don't got this.
You ain't got it.
they 100% don't got this. By the way, something we haven't mentioned on, I don't know if we mentioned it on air last week. I know we mentioned it behind the scenes. Congratulations to Kelly Kincaid. She's pregnant. We got a little prince. No. She went from small to really big. She's pregnant. If she's not, I feel real bad about what I just said.
That's why I said it like that, because I noticed it, I think it was last week, that her clothing looked a little bit too loose, and they're showing her like from like her upper body here, and you can barely see her stomach. And like usually in that part when we had the Jakara and Lash and the Cerebral Trio segment, there was an interview that was happening right there, and usually they zoom out as the person saying, "Oh, back to you, Vic and Booker, whatever." And this time around, we didn't go like forward this way. We went back to the girls, kind of like we didn't want to show her, so we went to the other side, like obviously a little bit further in. So I thought it was interesting with that angle because we don't see her like that, and instead of zooming out, it kind of feels like it zoomed in towards the girls, and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, tonight they definitely made it very, very clear. You can also see it in the before the Great American Bash. You can see it in the Thea Hale interview that she's definitely a little bit more. And like I said, congratulations, her and Elton Prince, I believe it is, or is it Kit Wilson? I forget.
I never know which one it is.
It's going to be a pretty deadly baby. That's all I know. The baby's going to be pretty deadly. That's all I know. We get Tony D'Angelo being irritated about losing his championship, and Obafemi walks right in front of him to go ahead and promote his match tonight. Great. By the way, love the continuity because Tony did that to him last week, and now Oba does it to him this week. Love the continuity. By the way, Tony D'Angelo versus Obafemi, right here. Put it in my veins. Take my money. I want that match. That'll be fun. And then we get Obafemi versus Otis. Oh, how I loved this match. Oh, my two baby boys. My two big baby boys. Oh, this was great. The Einstein pendulum thing they did at the beginning of the match, where they kept bouncing off the ropes and bouncing off each other. And like one would run into the other and they'd bounce, and the other one would bounce off the ropes and run back into the other. Like those like the Einstein balls, like the little thing you pull it and the balls keep.
I know what they are.
Okay. I don't know if everybody knows that they're called the Einstein balls. It's Einstein's theory of perpetual motion. Anyways, love that. That was great. Obafemi gets knocked out of the ring there, which I thought was great. The one thing we've talked a lot about Obafemi and how unbeatable he is. And he is. He's really is unbeatable. Like, I don't foresee somebody easily beating him for this championship. But the difference between him being an unbeatable giant, it's not the same thing as how they normally book giants. In his matches, he's vulnerable. He gets knocked down. He has to sell. He doesn't just run through his opponents no matter who they are. Like, he has a back and forth and a give and take with all his opponents. He had a great match here with Otis. The two of them, two big guys, had a really fun big guy match. But there were moments where I thought Otis might win. Like, I didn't think he was really going to win. But there were moments where I thought maybe he might win. Like when he did that Vader bomb onto Femi towards the end, I'm like I caught my breath because I was like, oh my God, is he going to beat Oba? But he didn't. Obviously, he shouldn't. But Femi gets these moments where he looks like he might get beat. And that's key because it means that he can continue going through his career where anybody can actually beat him. And while it makes sense that he's an unbeatable giant, he's not infallible. There are chinks in the armor that you can get to bring him down, to do the things you need to do. It's not your standard, like, untouchable giant. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's definitely a key difference there that needs to be mentioned. Because Michael Cole called it right. He's the future of this business. Like, he's a star on the rise, just waiting. And he's still green as hell. Like, he's still really green in the ring. Mm-hmm. He makes mistakes. He's not perfect in there, but he's really good. He's charismatic. Him and Otis had a really good chemistry. And he's now shown us that he can fight big, tall guys like Dijak and Briggs. He can fight little guys like Wesley and do just fine. And he can fight guys like Otis and have good matches. He's not the big guy stuck in one particular match. He can do it all. I love Oba. Oba's great. Oba.
I did like how this started on Raw, and usually this doesn't really happen with NXT unless you like kind of get to like the Survivor Series type of time. But the fact that they mentioned, Stone mentioned earlier, thanks to Adam P. He mentioned in the video with Ava and Stevie on socials, and it's like, yeah, we were having a chat with Adam Pearson. Thank you to Adam for letting Oba be at ringside for Raw, and I was like, I like that. It's like we do get a little bit of like, there's a teaser there for the future. It's like when the match is happening, Otis is kind of, I don't want to say face off, but like kind of having like a face off with Oba that's at ringside. So it starts that way. And then after the match in socials, Otis says, you have an open challenge. I'm going to answer it. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed because I was hoping it would be somebody from TNA, aka like a Josh Alexander. I would have loved to have seen that. So whenever they have open challenge, I'm thinking this is an opportunity for somebody for TNA to like make a name for themselves here in NXT. So when I hear Otis, I'm like, that's okay. And first, I should say it's not Otis, it's Otis. But again, I was in a way like disappointed, thinking like, this is the match we're gonna get. I feel like it could have been somebody else, and I feel like they had such a great showing. It was such a fun, different match from everything we got here tonight too. And it's like, I like having Otis like a singles competitor like this. Like this was really well done. Like he really showed out here. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the Twitter account when NXT tweeted that Oba retained, I always forget his name. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. From the Viking Raiders. Ivar? Yeah, Ivar. Yeah, Ivar retweeted it again. Kind of like he's keeping an eye on that. And I was like, that's interesting for the future as well. But I did like how this started on Raw. It continued on socials and then again on socials and then now and back to NXT. So I did like this aspect of it, of the way they started it. I was more like enjoying the match, so I didn't have notes on that. But again, it has like a chemistry that I didn't think they were going to have. So they exceeded my expectations that I have for this match. Way over. I really enjoyed what they did here. I think it was something fun. It's nice to have one of those like kind of like one-offs of like, here there's somebody that could say like, I want to prove myself, and all of a sudden they come here And again, we mentioned this in the past too, the fact that not everybody from the main roster has to win the match. So it's nice to see somebody from NXT facing somebody from the main roster, and then the person from NXT still winning. So it was nice to see that as well happening. But I didn't doubt my man Oba. I knew Oba would retain.
Yeah, it was great. Everything about this match was great. Sorry, I got distracted by Jordan Grace calling Wesley a TNA-sis on Twitter. A TNA racist, apparently. To which somebody responded, "You really don't like y'all," and she goes, "And that's why we're going to catch them in the NXT parking lot." So, sorry, I popped myself by watching Twitter. Just look at Jordan Grace's Twitter; you'll find it. We then get to Josh Briggs talking about his alcohol issues and talking about how Briggs was nothing but empty words when it came to being there for him, and it was just, about making him look good. But there was somebody that was always there for him, somebody who put his life, his career on the line to go ahead and get his job back, somebody who made sure he got home from every show no matter what craziness was going on. Everything that was going on, there was always somebody. And he's talking about Sean Spears. He never mentions his name, but he's talking about Sean Spears. And the camera pulls out, and it's Brooks Jensen filming a thing for like a Sean Spears commercial. Like the NXT camera's not the camera filming it; it's a Sean Spears camera, and there are people in the background. I'm like, this is really cool. I love this. It's stupid. It's so dumb, but I love it. And he asked Sean if it's okay, and Sean's like, "Yeah, that was really good. I like that." And then we cut to Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. And I'm like, what the fuck are you losers doing here? Why are you two here? Like, man, Briggs is in Japan. We got to look out for for Brooks. I'm like, what the fuck do you two care about Brooks? Like, yeah, we all kind of formed tag teams at the same time. And I'm like, the fuck does that do with anything? And then Hank Walker comes up, who didn't get signed to NXT until like a year later. And he walks up. He's like, "Well, you guys got Brooks under control, so I'm gonna let y'all handle that." And they walk away, and he talks to Tank, and they have a tag team match with the Good Brothers. And I'm like, "No, this segment went from bad to worse. Now I gotta watch Hank and Tank versus the Good Brothers next week." Astrid, I'm sick. Sick.
The only thing I liked about this was the continuity that we had from one thing to another one. But I was like, it was going well, and it just went. What happened? I don't know. It was like, why would you want to match with the OC or like the Good Brothers? Why would you want to match with them? Why? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
just saying. So when they said that and they celebrated, it's like, yeah, I talked to me about we got the match, and it's like, but why?
Well, remember because they disrupted the barbecue last week.
I know it's in storyline, but again, like taking out the storyline out of it, like that barbecue thing. Why would you want to face them? They have done nothing recently, especially. No. Nah.
I mean, reasons? I mean, they need a big win to get themselves on the map when it comes to the NXT tag team division. So
they're not going to win anyway.
Yeah, but they think they might. Izzy Dame takes on Brinley Reece. Booker thinks Izzy Dame should have had a bye, past the bingo balls right into the gauntlet. I said why she's boring, and if she's not on screen, I wouldn't notice she's there. I honestly don't remember who won the match. I have nothing written down about the match. I only have written down about Booker T in the tweet.
Okay, not knowing it though, it's Izzy and Brinley. Who do you think won the match?
Brinley. Izzy.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean,
it was a match, and it happened.
Was it any good? Did anybody do anything?
No comment.
I now have my next note saying Roxanne says boring shit. So I think this was Ava was doing an interview with, I think it was Kelly Kincaid. And then Roxanne came up to congratulate her on the Eliminator tournament. And she was like, I won my opportunity in the breakout tournament. So I like the idea of these girls having to earn their shot. I'm going to make sure that they really earn their shot. It doesn't really matter who earns their shot because I'm just going to beat them anyways. because none of them are worthy of my level and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Vomit, vomit, vomit. I'll watch her in the ring next week.
That you said a lot for she says boring shit. I'm just letting you know.
I pay attention to the product. Just because I have, she says, boring shit written in my notes doesn't mean I don't listen to at least a portion of the bullshit she says.
Well, it wasn't all bullshit. But anyway, Ava does talk about the Eliminator, and she talks about signing Wes versus Pete versus Joe Hendry with the winner going against Ethan at No Mercy. And then that's when Roxanne comes in. You're welcome. See, he's finishing his hater right there.
Not gone yet. I still got a little bit left for the rest of the show.
Uh-huh.
We then have another trash segment here where the two girls from last week are very much not into Ashanti the Adonis. I know you pointed out who these girls are. One of them is a new talent signed from a Pacific Coast island nation. I don't remember exactly which one it is.
Well, the blonde one, if I say it correctly,
the blonde one's like the Romanian or something like that.
I know. Can you hold on, sir? Can you hold on? I'm not finished. Anyway, I was saying first the blonde one. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. I think it's Zena, most likely. She's the blonde one. And then the Asian one is, I think if I say it correctly, Lei Laurel will probably be her name. I don't know if they'll change it or not, but they might be her name. Yes.
Am I allowed to talk again?
Yes. Now you can talk.
Okay. Yeah, so the two girls are very much not into Ashanti the Adonis. So he walks away and he sees that two girls are very much into Percy Watson. I mean, Dion Lennox. And he's reading a book. So they're talking to him while he's trying to read, which is very rude. Talking to somebody while they're trying to read is very rude, as Astrid will tell you. If I'm reading a book, I want nothing to do with you. So why are you girls bothering me while I'm trying to read? But the girls walk away as Ashanti the Adonis shows up because nobody wants to talk to Ashanti the Adonis. Why? Because he's friends with Flop Dollar. And nobody associated with Flop Dollar is worth anything. Anyways, I was like taking shots at Flop Dollar. Anyways, Ashanti's jealous and he's like, hey, you know, I like your game here. You know, you're trying to read a book to hit on these girls. And he's like, no, I'm reading. He says, what are you reading? He goes, It Ends With Us. And they go, oh, that's the book from the Lady Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Lady Deadpool is in that movie. She's the star. Mrs. Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Blake Lively. Did you know that they're the first? Did you know that they're the first couple to have movies at number 1 and 2 on the domestic charts since Bruce and Demi Moore?
Yeah.
Okay. I found that interesting. Apparently you didn't. Astrid, talk to us about the book. It Ends With Us. How's the book?
I'm torn about the book. We'll put it like that. But anyway, there's controversy and drama behind it also. We'll leave it at that.
Ooh, gee. How's the movie?
Yeah.
Did you see the movie?
No, not yet.
Is it because of the drama and tea about the book?
Yes, I know.
You're of no good to me if you're not going to give me the tea.
I don't want to give it to you here.
Fine, we'll talk about the tea afterwards. What do you think of the segment with Dion Lennox?
It's nice that at least we see him on screen, though. But yes, it is very rude to talk to somebody when they're reading. Do not talk to me while I'm reading because I will block you off because my reading is more important than you're talking. So yes, I agree. I don't know why this is happening.
Ash's reading is so important that she does it while she's supposed to be watching NXT. Yes.
No, I listen to it.
You didn't always just listen to it. Sometimes you were reading during the show too. Anyway,
during commercials, to specify.
Next week we have the Women's Gauntlet, which, if I remember correctly, is Sol Ruca versus Jada Parker versus 4 people who don't matter.
Carmen, can't believe you said that. Carmen,
Adrianna Rizzo, and Wren Sinclair. None of them are winning this match. It doesn't matter. The only ones that matter is Jada Parker versus Sol Ruca.
They all matter. Doesn't matter who wins, but they all matter.
Really?
Yes.
So I'll pick Jada Parker and Sol Ruca, and you get the field, and we'll bet $5.
No, I'm saying they all matter, like as a whole, that we should name them so people know who they are. It doesn't matter who wins though, because we're still gonna get Roxanne as champion at the end, so it's fine.
Not if one of those women gets replaced with Stephanie Vacour.
Oh my god, that hurts me inside.
Akira.
That sounds.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Or Julia or Delta. One of the three. And if you don't know what these women look like, Stephanie. Oh, hold on. There she is. Julia. Delta.
Yes.
Much more talented than Roxanne. We also get Wes versus Hendry versus Dunn for the number one contendership at No Mercy. By process of elimination, Trick Williams is facing Pete Dunne at No Mercy. Wes Lee is facing Zach Wentz at No Mercy because they basically told us that in his promo. So guess who's winning the match next week? I'll tell you. He's going to go from London to Paris to Tokyo to America, Scotland to Canada and Mexico because we believe in Joe Hendry. Anyways, Hank Tank versus the Good Brothers. I'm sick. Lola Vice versus Wendy Chu. I'm definitely sick.
You can still be off screen if you're sick.
Do I have to?
Yeah. You can just be here with no camera on. See?
But what if I have no voice? What if my voice is bad?
Uh-huh. Sure.
Wanting to hold up cards every time I need to talk?
Yeah.
The whiteboard?
Mm-hmm. There you go. See? You're finding the solutions yourself.
I'll just find you a co-host. You know who'd love to talk about Lola Vice? Andre or Mike the Ref. Those two would love to talk about Lola Vice. But no. We then get our main event of the evening, which is Chase U taking on Naxiom or Fraxiom, depending on who you believe. If you believe Nathan, it's Fraxiom, and if you believe me, it's Naxiom. Chase U are our new tag team champions. Wow. I'll be honest. I figured it was going to happen, but I figured it would be a heel turn. I didn't think it would be clean.
Yeah.
By the way, I count the non-legal guy pushing the other non-legal guy off the top rope as clean. Like, that's a legal thing to do in a wrestling match. It's not dirty or, it's not like Duke Hudson did it or Riley did it. Like, the other guy in the match did.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's clean. I know some people are going to argue that that's not a clean way. But to me, that's
it took me a moment, too, when that happened, because I was thinking, oh, shoot. I was thinking, that's cheating. And then I realized, I was like, wait, no, Andre's in the match. So it's not really cheating. He's part of this. So it took me a moment there. Yeah.
Because I thought it was weird, too. And I'm like, wait, no, he's in. This is the other guy. We can do this. There's lots of good moments in this match. Lots of double teams. I bid on that Ridge Holland Andre Chase from the top rope. What's the Carlito move? The backcracker.
The backstabber, yeah.
Yeah, the backstabber. I thought that was the end of that. I thought that was a win. I really did. Great match. Love this. It was fantastic. Chase U.
But no, I don't know if you felt the same way, but they win, we get the confetti, they're on the ring with the students and they're celebrating. That celebration took a little bit too long for me. And I was waiting for it to be kind of like a CM Punk type of moment. I was like, the copyright icon hasn't appeared yet. So I was like, what's happening here? I was like, do we get a debut? Do we get a turn? What's happening? And then they went, and then Vic said, I want to see this again. So they did a replay at one point. I think it was at the end, if I'm not mistaken. And they went back, and they're still in the ring with the confetti. And I was like, this feels a little bit too long. It's like, is something supposed to happen here and it didn't happen, or what's going on? It felt like awkward because it felt a little bit too long for what I expected it to be. And then I saw the copyright. I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like close the app until I know for sure we change from NXT to the next programming, whatever it is. And I looked and they changed it. I was like, that was weird, very very weird. The timing of it, I cannot get over it. I just couldn't do it. I don't know why.
I'm gonna continue to point this out to the end of time. Riley Osborne, black with red. Duke Hudson, black with red. Ridge Holland, black with red. Thea Hale, black with red. Andre Chase, red with black. I'm telling you, I may not know fashion, but I know heel turns.
And I think it's interesting because if you think about it, like the characters, Rich comes in, he's like the stranger within the family, to put it like that, this whole family. And then all of a sudden, first Thea's like, no, let's have mercy with him. He just got betrayed, and he just wants to be a part of the group. So he's gaining her trust. So you have another person there, and then now he's kind of fighting with Duke. And oh my god, I always forget his name. I always want to say Myles, but it's Riley. So Riley and then Duke, and it's like we have both of them in the middle, and then having the like thing with Rich, and then this happened earlier in the episode, but they apologized to him for the way they treated him. So it kind of feels like they're like aligning with him in that sense of it when you think of the wording. And then I keep thinking, okay, Thea, the two guys, and only Andre is left. So I was like, shoot, like it's basically like a takeover if you think about it that way. He's like gaining their trust little by little. First with Thea, then the guys, and I'm like, this is interesting, the timing of it, the way you think about it, the way they like little by little are walking him in within the group. I was like, this is interesting. And then you've been pointing that out, and it made me think about it later, connecting that to what's happening, the way it's been progressing. And then he wins the title with Andre. So I was like, so now is it like he's gaining like Andre's trust because he has the title with him? And then the turn happens now that he's had the titles with him. So I feel like that will be interesting in the future when that does happen. But again, I was thinking of like, we already had the heel turn with Wesley last week and the Rascals in the main event with the tag team. So when having the tag team main event again, I was like, if they're main eventing, it's for a reason. Something's gonna happen here. Aside from like the win itself, I thought something else was gonna happen. And I was expecting that big something else there. And it just felt like nothing happened in that sense of it. And I was like, I feel like there's something missing here, because usually something happens in those moments when tag team is really main eventing. So I was like, I kept thinking, I messaged to you and I said, there's no way it's another turn tonight, at least, because it'll feel like 2 weeks of a turn in a row, and it'll feel kind of odd in that sense of it too. So I didn't think it was going to be a turn, but I was like, I feel like there was something missing at the end with that celebration. They're taking way too long.
I watched during the Attitude Era. I mean, 3 turns a night on a show for no reason. I swerve them, bro. They don't expect it. Wesley just turned. We turned another one tonight. Like, no. For me, it totally makes sense that it might happen. It didn't. It was great. It was a fantastic ending of the show. Astrid, good people about how to use this QR code and what they can do with it.
Well, if you scan the QR code, you get the usual prices and sales. The only difference is I get a little bit of that back. And again, as we mentioned before in previous streams, the money goes back to what we use for Canva, for example, for what we use for all of our graphics throughout OLE. So it's not just a me thing. It's just the way that we support each other behind the scenes here in OLE. So if you haven't done that, you can do that. And then you can also scan the QR code or go to that link at foryouword.com/Astrid-Pizarro. And then you can find my t-shirt, as you can see Milk and Mike modeling right there as well. There you go. And then earlier today, we did premiere the review of the Damian Priest documentary that I did with Demon Diva, aka Isa, who's also a Damian Priest fan and Puerto Rican like myself as well. So if you haven't seen that, go watch it. It's on my channel. It's on OLE. So if you can watch either one or both and then give it a like, we would appreciate it. But aside from that, yeah, we said give it. Comment if you've seen it. Let us know your thoughts on it too, is what we mentioned, because we wanted to see what people were saying about the documentary. So if you have seen it, please do. And if you haven't, go watch it and then watch our review right after. But But then, and you can find me on my Twitter's and Blue Skies Astrid Pizarro, my Instagram and Threads Astrid Pizarro 20, and that will be able. What we do, let's say I'm on my show Michael's era, so I'm like cooking up our guests for No Mercy. Hopefully they stick, but that's why I'm gonna leave it out there for now. I won't say any names just in case.
Oh, I'll say some names. No, I'm just kidding. We've got EdFries12584 on Twitter. We've got twitch.tv/EdFries2002. I am in my Marvel Talk era right now, as Ashley was talking about her eras. We got Marvel Talk tomorrow night. Me and Andre are finally going ahead and doing the Ant-Man review, and then we are all roads leading to Agatha all along. So we're very excited for that to start in September. So we're just about a month away from that starting on September 18th. We've got 2 episodes that night, so we're going to have a nice big review for you. Remember, some of these reviews we're going to be pulling in this young lady, Astrid Pizarro, because it's all the spooky ooky and the magic stuff, which is all right up her alley come Halloween and all that kind of good stuff. So we're definitely going to be pulling in Astrid for as many of these episodes as we can to go ahead as we talk about Agatha all along. Remember that we've got our review of the D23 news. We've got a review of the Comic-Con news. We got all kinds of great stuff all up there on the Marvel Talk podcast. So if you go ahead and go to the live tab, or you can just go to the podcast tab and go ahead and find all these. We got all kinds of great shows. We get the Deadpool review with Mark Talks Wrestling and Rich King, professional wrestler Rich King, the big boofy man that's making Andre all buff and tough. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And then me and Ash will be back here next week. Well, Ash will be here next week. I'm going to be sick unless Stephanie the Kier shows up, in which case I'll be here. Otherwise, I'll probably not be here. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Make sure you catch out all the good stuff on our local establishment. Right down here, we've got things like Mark interviews. We've got things like Honor Ramble. Check it out this week. Make sure to stop by and at least say happy birthday to Kimmy Sokol as she turns 23, the young brat herself, as she's already packing for another convention. She just got back from Steel City Con, where she worked with Britt Baker, DMD, Mike O'Malley, a man out of my childhood, and Swerve Strickland. And she had a picture with Chris Jericho for some stupid reason. I don't know why you would take a picture with Chris Jericho, but, you know, you're allowed to make mistakes. It's fine. She's young. She's allowed to make some mistakes. But she's doing all kinds of great things. She has great stories about Sting. So if you haven't checked her out, go ahead and check out her. Auntie Collins is going to be on the show with her on Honor Ramble. No Kyle this week, but go ahead and watch anyways. It's going to be a fantastic show. Just less history. More fun, less history. More ramble without Kyle. Because Kyle tries to keep those lovely young ladies on course, and lovely young ladies try to everything they can to keep it all off course. You know what we should do? We should have a show with Astrid and Kyle. That show will be so on the tracks. No divergence will happen.
No.
But thank you for joining us. It's been great. We appreciate it. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.